The presents.
Huh? This is for Sister Lola. I've taken the one for Sokoji and give it to the wife.
Sister Lula is not coming.
No, please, we are recording, please. Okay, we are ready. Anybody with a revelation, uh, an insight, or a problem? Please, the floor is yours. Bring it up before I open the floodgates. Dr. Boyson, do you have any revelation? Gabo,
Yeah.
any ideas, any problem, any revelation you want to, any questions you want to?
No, when we go along,
Okay.
yesterday I heard you guys and it was so powerful. I was richly blessed. So
Okay.
that's
Winnie,
Yeah.
do you have any insight, any question, any problem?
No, we haven't started yet, so as we go along.
Okay. So today, as I promised, we are going to look at the woman, especially in verse 28.
Have a good day.
Actually, let's add verse 27, 28, and 29. Right? The Bible said, when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. Right? The 28 exposes us to the voice of the woman, the words that she spoke directly. It isn't the altar telling us. Everywhere else, it is the altar telling us what happened. But in verse 28, the woman voices what she desired, right? And so we are going to take her on based on her own utterance. And we want to look at how the author has used that particular verse or those three verses to say something powerful. In fact, show something powerful about Jesus, right? That we will get to know. So without wasting time, let's first try to understand. We've already dealt with the idea of what we call text structures, right? We've seen description, we've seen time order, we've seen problem and solution, we've seen cause and effect, we've seen compare and contrast, we've seen argument, and we've seen what is it? Yeah, I think those are the 6, right? Description, time order, problem solution, cause and effect, compare contrast, and argument, right? Now, verse 28 presents us with a certain argument that the woman herself made. And so we are going to get to analyze what the argument the woman made, right? And what she did and what she gained in order to know whether she got what she said she was going to get if she acted in a certain way, right? And then we'll take that argument and see whether that proved to be true or false, and how Jesus actually came through for her. Amen.
Amen. Before we go, before I forget, can I ask a question quickly?
Yeah, please go
Before
ahead.
we go. Yeah, so like as you always teach us, can we say or can we presume or assume that did Mark interview the woman to know what she had said inside her? For she said, if I may touch her clothes.
Okay, I get you.
So as the author, was he there? Was he there to see what was?
That's what I'm going to answer. Actually, in every writing, whether in story form, narrative, even ordinary biographies and everything, right? You have to, if you really want to do serious analysis of the writing, there is something you do. We call it the narrator. We have the author and then the narrator. These are 2 very important. The author is the person who actually wrote the story, right?
Mm-hmm. And the narrator.
Winnie, that's true. That's very good of you. But however, the narrator of a story is not necessarily the same as the author. Most of the time, an author invents a persona. That persona is what we call the narrator. And that persona could actually be an actual person or an actual entity, right? That persona is what the author uses as his eyes, as his voice, and as his hands and what have you, right? And that leads us to also try to understand an aspect of the narrator's voice. We call it distance. How distant is the narrator from the events in terms of time, in terms of space, right? So we have actually we call it that whole concept, we call it the point of view. How an author uses the persona in highlighting or putting across the perspective of the persona. And distance has to do with, as I said, how close is the author or the narrator from the events, either in time or in space. So the first point of view you want to deal with is what we call the first person's point of view. The first person's point of view is where you will see the author saying I, right? And I was in this and I was in that. So in the first person point of view, the author actually is part of the story. Are you getting the picture clear? What it does is it gives immediacy to the story, to the events of the story, because the author is participating in it. Now, the advantage of the first person point of view is that we have the author's own words, right? And we believe it or we don't believe it. So the credibility of the author, right, looms large when you are dealing with first person point of view. The second type of point of view is what we call the second person point of view, where the author, you, uses you. So he makes you, the reader, a participant in the story. Are you getting me? Normally, we use the second person point of view normally in what we call process writing, where you are instructing or showing somebody what to do and how to do something. Are you getting me? So, you first draw a line, and then you do this, and then you mark it this way, right? That is the second person point of view. Now, the third type of point of view is what we call limited omniscience. And then the last one is what we call the full omniscience. But all together, we have what we call the third person type point of view. The third person point of view is where the author says he. He doesn't use I, he doesn't use you. He says he, she, the woman, distances himself from the events, right? And actually the author gets the characters to act. So that, and as I said, we have three types, where the author recounts. The first type is where we call the author actually is more of a reporter, right? He tells you what happens straight away. He tells you what happens, but he doesn't project himself as knowing anything beyond what the characters do or say. He cannot go into a character's mind and tell you what a character is thinking. That is a limited, no, in fact, omniscience is not even part of it. That is objective, right? With that, the limited, third person limited omniscience is where the author can tell you about what a character is saying, is thinking, right? And things like that. He can tell you what every character is doing in a particular place, right? But let's take for example, characters are acting in a particular room, but there are 4 different rooms, and 4 characters are in those 4 different rooms. The third person limited omniscience, right, can only tell you what a particular character in one particular room is thinking. He cannot tell you about all the 4 at the same time. He is limited. He can go into the mind of a character, but he can only go into the mind of a character, one character at a time, in one place at a time. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Now, the full omniscience is the narrator can tell you what everybody is thinking in each room at any time without limitation. Are you getting me? That is the full omniscient point of view, narrator's point of view. Now, why is that important? Once you understand that, you are going to apply these ideas to the text. You ask a question, did the author Mark, was she there when this event took place? Maybe yes, maybe no. Right? But still, what we see is that the Mark took himself out of the picture. And what we hear is the character's voice. So here the character is talking. So even if there is a narrator there, right, the author, because now we can hear the character herself. And when she speaks, we can hear, you can call it the objective, right? Third party objective. You can hear the character, but you cannot get into the mind of the character, right? But the important thing is that who was the narrator for Mark as to this story? Are you getting the picture clear? Who was the narrator? And that's a very important question to ask. The woman could have narrated it to Jesus, to Mark. So Mark could have interviewed the person. Jesus could have told Mark directly. An eyewitness, right, like any of the disciples who were there, right, could have told Mark. But the critical question is that, right, the way the structure of the text is that certain events happened outside Jesus or the disciples. For example, when the woman heard about Jesus and she resolved that if she could touch Jesus's cloth, she shall be made whole. Those things happened before she got to the crusade ground. Are you getting me? So for those pieces of information, if anything, only two persons could have passed it on to the narrator. Here, it will be either Jesus himself or the woman. Are you getting it? But this is doing very critical, high-level analysis of writing. And it gives you a certain power when you finish with it, and you can relate to the story, right? And it teaches you, it gives you certain skills to deal with sophisticated text. Are you getting me? So this is very important. Yes, the woman here, we don't need the narrator to go into the mind or the thoughts of the woman. The woman spoke it, so we can hear. Are you getting me? The woman spoke what the way the text has been structured. The woman said it. So anybody present could have heard it. Is that making sense? Right? So that would be, call it the third party objective point of view. You getting me? Simply because we don't have to, the author didn't have to go into the mind of the character to get that far. The character spoke it, and since we have ears, we can hear it. Is that making sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, in a way, but we can move on. Let's go.
If you are not satisfied, because that's the reason I've chosen to do it this way. We want to understand this particular character, this woman. Why is it important? Don't forget, if you take out the term woman and you put your name there, that's your life on display.
And she said, if I may touch his clothes. The other translation says she said within her.
Yeah,
but Mark is saying,
you can hear her voice, right? She must have said within her, but the point is,
so did she say it while she was going to touch or before?
No, well, that whole point, we'll call it, it's like the woman was planning what to do. So that will be more of a resolution, right? She resolved to do something, right? And that will tell you planning is involved, right? In order to have the right kind of action, in order to achieve or accomplish your purpose. right? So the woman, right, the picture we get from the sanction of the law, Leviticus, where I said, this is one woman down on the luck. She was out of money. She didn't get any relief from the doctor's attempts and what have you. So she literally will be a pitiful looking woman. Are you getting me? However, when we look at what she says, we realize, yeah, she may be down on the luck, but this was one hell of a woman, right? She had the mind. And we have to appreciate that mind. Are you getting me?
Mhm.
And it also, apart from that, it helps us to create a certain picture, right? And we keep correcting the picture as we go. Very frail looking woman, disappointed by people who she thought would help her. She had lost all her money. She was getting, worse. So that picture first, and you realize that this woman needs help. This is a tortured woman. Are you getting me? But in spite of that, when she opens her mouth, we realize that this woman may be down on her luck, but this woman is a very, very thoughtful woman, intelligent woman. Are you getting me? Yeah. And so you know that an intelligent person will do certain things. Are you getting me? Simply because we look at what she said. The phrasing of her statements, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall behold. Did she get that? Are you getting me? So it's like she's packaging the information she received and determining what was possible based on the information. Are you getting me? So you are looking at one hell of one very sophisticated, even if, call it frustrated woman. Is that making sense? So again, your mind begins to create pictures of this woman. And that's basically what the author wants you to do, right? You get a sophisticated woman appearing before you. And all of a sudden, it means that this woman is going to do something that smacks of high intelligence. Is that making sense? So Mark has introduced certain elements in it without actually stating them. And that's what makes the gospel writers very sophisticated ones. And that's why we also need to acquire that sort of sophistication to really appreciate the text, right? And become, and that skill becomes profitable as our life unfolds or progresses. Is that making sense? Okay, yeah. But as I said, we are going to focus today on verse 27, 28, and 29. Verse 27 tells us that she heard about Jesus. And then when she heard, she resolves to do something. First, touch the clothes of Jesus. And then she said, if I do that, I shall be whole. So that opens the world up. What Jesus can do on what she can do, right? Basing what Jesus can do, right, as a result of what she first has to do. Are you getting the picture clear? Because she put it in a conditional form. If I perform, if I do my part of the deal, Jesus will do his part. No ifs, no buts. Are you not getting the picture clear? And you see how Mark right there has presented a certain picture about Jesus. I hope you are getting it. So here is a woman down on her luck. But now we know she must be a very intelligent woman. As a result, what portrays her as a very intelligent woman also gives us a certain information about Jesus. The woman says, if I don't get healed, it is not because Jesus didn't do it. It is because I failed to do my part. Are you not getting the picture clear?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, if I do my part, Jesus will do his part. Period. And that's a very powerful statement from a woman looking so frail, who has been disappointed by people who society had trained to deal with problems of the society, the experts. She had been disappointed by the experts. And she had spent her resources trying to get the help from experts. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, very intelligent woman. Pay attention to what she has to say, therefore. Are you getting me? And then this woman makes us to understand, in this business of wholeness, you, the beneficiary, have a part to play. When you play your part, it is a given that God will do or play his part.
Amen. Mm.
And that is the power in her statement, and why Mark will have us listen to such a woman. Is that making sense? That's one hell of a writing, saying a lot without saying a lot. Are you getting me? This is what God made me when he told me, Robert, you are going to do something. And I had to learn, we call it reading like a writer and writing like a reader. It's a skill. Are you getting me? So I just don't read this. I'm also reading it to become a good writer. So I'm reading it with the eyes, the mind of a writer. How has Mark said so much without saying so much? Are you getting the picture clear? That is the importance. And I want to expose you to this sort of writing and this sort of reading. Is that making sense? Okay, so we are going on. A statement. Now let's look on the board. And then we appreciate very interesting things about this dialogue, call it the monologue of this woman, right? She spoke to herself. Now, the first table, you see, says the truth table of conditional arguments, right? I think there should be an S, right? Let me put an S. Of conditional arguments, right? Now, I have reduced, right, or rendered the statement in verse 28, right, into propositions or sentences, right? The parts of the woman's argument. She said, I have to touch Jesus's clothes, right? I shall be whole. So if I touch Jesus' clothes, I shall be whole, right? So that's so I have said here, A represents I have to touch Jesus' clothes, right? Or I may have to touch Jesus' clothes, right? Right?
Yep.
And then C, right, is I shall be whole. So A represents touch Jesus' clothes, right? C represents shall be whole. Are you not getting the picture clear? Okay.
We shall be whole or shall be healed.
Whole. Because read her statement in verse 28. Read.
Oh, you are talking about W. Oh, okay.
No. Look at the woman. What did she say in verse 28?
Yeah, that I may make whole. Yeah.
She asked for whole.
Okay, I was looking on your table. Okay, sorry.
No. That's why I have put there, you see. This is what she said. This is first the table for all conditional arguments, right? Right? Now, this is what she said. This is what happened. Right? Now we will use this to see what Jesus did.
Okay.
Are you not getting the point? Because when she said, if I may touch his clothes, I shall be whole, which means touching the clothes of Jesus guarantees one's wholeness, according to the woman. But is that necessarily true? We are going to get whether that was true or not from what she received or what she gained when she touched Jesus' clothes. Are you not getting the picture clear? And what else did she have to do to receive what she set her eyes on? Dr. Boyce, are you paying attention?
Oh, yeah, I'm listening. Yes, I'm muted. I'm listening. Yeah.
I want especially you to pay attention to this because
I am listening. The fact that I told you on Fridays, you know my schedule, so I have to be muted.
I know that, but I want you to listen carefully so you can phrase your questions for next week. Deeper questions, and we can go deeper. Winnie.
Yeah.
Are you listening? I want you to pay attention here very closely. Follow this very, very closely.
Okay.
Now, so for all conditional arguments, the truth table for all conditional arguments, what we call the if-then argument, because the woman's utterance was an if-then statement. So we are going to use the truth table for conditional arguments to analyze her utterance or her statement. Are you getting what we are trying to do? Okay. So in all conditional arguments, whether in the Bible, in any story, anywhere, conditional arguments, we have first the if part, and then the then part. The if part, we call it the antecedent. That's why I've used A here. And then the then part, we call it the consequent. Are you not getting the picture clear? Right? So let me fill out this so you know the actual is antecedent. Antecedent. And this is consequent. right?
Mhm.
So if we take this, the woman's statement, I have to touch Jesus's clothes, becomes the antecedent. I shall be made whole is the consequence. Are you not getting the way it works? Right? Now, in all if thens or conditional arguments, if the antecedent is true and the consequent is true, then the two statements together will be considered true. That is the reason. So when we use the arrow here, it means A, the antecedent implies or guarantees the consequence. So this arrow is what we call implication, right? A implies C. The antecedent implies the consequence. And that is only true when the antecedent is true and the consequent is also true. In the case of the woman, she said, I have to touch his garment. It has to be true. I shall be whole has to be true for her statement, the two statements together, to be true. Are you getting the point there? Is that making sense? Okay. Now, in all conditional arguments, if the antecedent is true, but the consequent is false, then the whole statement is false.
Pastor, I have a question.
Yeah, please ask.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question.
So would the antecedent be like a precursor?
Say that again.
Would the antecedent be like a precursor?
Yes, surely. Yeah, will be a precursor. It
Okay.
has to be a condition that has to be met.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that contribution. Winnie, you get it?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. So again, in all conditional arguments, if the antecedent, the if part, is true, but the consequent, the then part, is false, the whole argument is false. Now, in a conditional argument, if the antecedent is false, but the consequent is true, the whole argument is true.
Come again. Say it one more time, please.
In a conditional argument,
Mm-hmm.
if the antecedent is false, that's the third here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the consequent is true, the whole argument is true. Let's look at the woman's argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said, if I have to touch I have to touch his garment. If that is true, but she did that and she didn't get wholeness, then her whole argument is false. That's point number 2 here. Number 3, if she receives her wholeness without touching Jesus, her argument will still be true. Why? Because the ultimate goal is to receive wholeness, and she receives it. Are you getting the picture clear? So the argument will be true. Are you not getting the picture clear? right? For now, just believe it, right? Again, for all conditional arguments, if the antecedent is false and the consequent is false, the argument is still true because it really doesn't change anything.
Mhm.
Okay, now, so let's now apply the woman. She said, I have to touch Jesus's cloth. Now, in verse 27, we get to know that she indeed touched Jesus's cloth. So, her action, right? Are you getting it?
Mhm.
This is what she did, right? She touched Jesus's cloth. True. Is that making sense?
Mhm.
Did she receive wholeness? According to verse 29.
No, she was healed. She wasn't whole. But made
Okay.
whole.
So you see, her wholeness here is false. What therefore will be her whole argument? Do you see why this is false?
Yes.
Yeah, but eventually she was made whole.
That's why we would have to now move to this position, this one.
Okay.
You see how sophisticated, I mean, this sophisticated writing by Mark. And why now you would understand the Bible is not only a spiritual book, but a very sophisticated mind training book. Dabo, would you agree now?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So when you are reading, pay attention to these shifts and turns in the text. Yeah, they will quicken you spiritually. But if all you get is spiritual quickening, you have not allowed the Bible to do what it fully can do. Which is to say, when you read the Bible and you are happy and you go your merry way without meditating, because by meditating, these questions will come up. Joshua chapter 1. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate upon it what? Day
and night.
He said, by so doing, then.
Pastor Akon, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to go back to my earlier proposition that this woman had in her mind, or she purposed, that if I may touch the hem of his garment, I'll be made whole.
Mm-hmm.
She had no inclination that when after being touched, Jesus would turn around or Jesus will have any interaction with her. Her whole goal was me touching and being whole. So when she goes to touch, and Mark says that the fountain of her blood ceases. Wasn't that the wholeness that she had purposed?
No, that's right. Yes. I mean, I know a lot of people make that argument, but I now want you, we've done it several times. Based on her statement, she said wholeness. And what she gets, what happens, what she gets from her touching is healing. So are we making the argument that healing is synonymous with wholeness? Are you getting the picture clear? And I'm saying they are not.
I think what I get from this is that when we take steps of faith, even if our whole argument is not maybe like presented correctly before God honors those steps of faith that we take.
Amen. Amen. I salute you, my daughter. I salute you. And that's exactly what Mark is trying to make us to understand. You cannot sit on your behind and think God will do it. Are we getting the picture clear? It takes more than just sitting somewhere. And as a result, it paints a certain picture about Jesus, about God, that Mark wants us to take away from this text. Is that making sense?
Mhm.
And so now we will retrace our step back and land somewhere and then look at another detail there. So she said, if I do this, I will get this, right? She does it. She got something else. She didn't get what she said she would get. Oh, what was happening there? Are you getting me? What was happening there? What can we see? Yeah. So we come here, the third table, and we realize that, yes, she touched Jesus's clothes, but what she thought she was going to receive was not what she received. So did she accomplish her goal? The answer is not really, right? But now we see something about Jesus. And I salute you again, my daughter. A faithful step, right? Right? Any step you take towards the goal, God rewards. Jesus rewards. Are you getting me? Another thing you have to understand. Whereas the law is black and white, no middle ground, it has said what it has said. It doesn't take into consideration whatever you've made, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now, Mark is saying Jesus is more than that. Are you not getting that sophisticated? Jesus
is more than.
is more than the law, because the
Oh,
law
okay.
just takes it and doesn't take into consideration any effort, any action, any thing you do to know. The law says you are guilty and that's it. No middle ground. Are you getting me? But we are still going. Now, she does what she says she will do, but she gets a different result. Right? So let's ask ourselves. We know the Bible said in verse 27, she heard of Jesus. Are you getting me? And all along we've said she gained knowledge. Dr. Wesley, are you not getting where we are going? Right?
Yeah.
All along we said she gained knowledge. Yes, she did. But now I will introduce you to an interesting nuance. There is a difference between belief and knowledge. So when she said, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole, she was expressing a belief, not knowledge.
Yep. So knowledge alone will not get you the thing.
But belief is less than knowledge.
No.
No, belief is less than knowledge. It's a fact.
Belief.
Right? God himself didn't say my people perish for lack of belief. He said for knowledge.
Yeah, but if you don't use knowledge is useless.
No, what
You
I'm
can
saying,
have all the knowledge.
you can
If you
believe
don't,
something. No, you can believe something, right? But that belief may not turn out to be true. Knowledge actually entails truth.
Yeah, but you have to have knowledge to believe.
No, you graduate from belief to knowledge.
You know, you get knowledge.
What's the textbook definition of knowledge? Maybe that's what we should ask.
Knowledge implies a knower and facts. A knower knowing facts, right? A knower and facts.
Mm-hmm. So you are, if you don't apply the knowledge, you will not get the result.
Yeah. We believe, we know that. But the point we are analyzing this text.
The application of knowledge is wisdom.
The woman said, if I touch his clothes, I shall be healed. She touched his clothes, but she did not get wholeness. She got healing. Healing and wholeness are not synonymous. That's our point.
But Pastor Kron, that is what I'm saying. I keep emphasizing that in her mind, her wholeness was touching Jesus' garment, and her issue, the physical manifestation of what she was experiencing, leaving her in her mind. That is wholeness to her synonymously. Jesus, I mean, we know Jesus is the one that gives wholeness. But I think in her mind, if I touch and this fountain ceases, that's my wholeness.
Dr. Boyce, I agree to some extent, but what I want you to understand is that when you read further down, you realize that Jesus did something for the wholeness to happen. Are you understanding?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She didn't know that wholeness would come from Jesus. She just thought that by touching.
Are you saying, therefore, that her equating healing to wholeness made wholeness equivalent to healing?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, in her mind, she felt that healing and wholeness was synonymous to her. She didn't know Jesus was the one that gives wholeness. Because if Jesus hadn't called her or conferred the wholeness on her, she thought she had achieved her goal and she was going home happy.
No. The reason I'm saying is that when you look at wholeness, you realize that healing is part of it. And the healing took care of a physical ailment. But don't forget, you go back and you realize she was a poor woman. The sickness had made her a social pariah. She had emotional trauma. So the healing will still have taken care of the physical ailment, but wouldn't restore her to financial wholeness.
It wouldn't restore her, but she knows that if she's healed, then she doesn't have to even borrow money or look for money to go for treatment again.
Where is she going to get the money to take care of herself?
Well, at least her problem would have been half solved. If I don't have to go doctors and go, I mean, if I have to even borrow a little money from my neighbors to eat, that is better than spending money on doctors and still borrowing money to eat.
Yes, agreed. You are partially true, but you said you will score 95 or more on the exam, although the passing mark is 80. But you said, me, I am getting 95 or more. And then you get 89. Is 89 the same as 95?
Pastor Carlos, as you and I are on different page. What I'm saying is that in this woman's mind, wholeness that she meant was because she never thought that after getting touching Jesus would turn around and give her chop money or money to go and pay her old bills or whatever. That was not what she was thinking. She was thinking about her disease and everything leaving her.
You are now putting words in her mouth, because the question I have to ask you.
Well, you two are putting words in her mouth.
Why didn't she run away from the place immediately she felt she was healed? Why didn't she run?
She touched and she was going away. She thought she had achieved her goal.
Hasn't said that. The Bible hasn't said she was going away. The Bible hasn't said that. She was there.
But this woman's goal was to touch Jesus secretly and leave and go back or retreat.
So why did she stay?
Because the crusade was still on. The crusade was, she had no idea that Jesus would call her and say, woman, come for your wholeness.
Crusade ground in the first place.
Okay, all right. I rest my case.
The law actually forbade her from being there, but she was there, right? And the reason, I mean, Dr. Boise, I would agree with you if this platform was just one of those platforms where you can just say something and no. Here we are probing issues. We want to become very good scholars. And so we are taking what the woman said, her statement, and we are juxtaposing it with what she got. And we are saying that what she got is different from what she said she wanted. That's the whole point. Are you getting me? And so that will force us to go down to ask, then how did she get the wholeness she set out for in the first place? Are you getting me? And then we will realize that, if she got her wholeness eventually, then she must have done something. And she did something simply because Jesus did something, which is therefore to tell her, yes, you thought you wanted wholeness and you thought touching is the means to get wholeness. But now I am giving you additional knowledge that touching is not enough for wholeness. Are you getting me? Something else is needed. And I'm going to give you the chance to do that so that the wholeness will come. When you go about this, this test becomes very, very informative. You getting me? So, yes, and Mark knew what he was writing when he put those words there for us to really spend time on it. So I don't want, yes, I mean, any other platform will say, yes, she got what she wanted. In fact, if you go to ChatGPT will say, oh, yeah. No. But you keep asking ChatGPT and it will tell you, yes, you have a point. Wholeness and wholeness and healing are not synonymous. Wholeness is part. Healing is part of wholeness, but wholeness is not part of healing. Are we getting the picture clear? You get healing is as part of wholeness. And in this case, the healing took care of the physical ailment. But when she said she was looking for wholeness, she made us understand that she was looking for something more than just being taken, the predicament, the physical condition being taken care of. She also was asking that, I want to be restored. Are you getting me? Restored to the state, to the place where I had money and I didn't have a sickness. Gabo, you're getting the picture clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if that is what, then we realize, now, indeed, she got her physical condition taken care of, but she had more than physical need. She also had what? Financial need. She also had what? Emotional need. And so her wholeness, if she was going to get it, must incorporate all these needs that she was robbed of when this sickness hit her. Is that making sense? Dr. Boyce, are you convinced now?
I don't think so.
I am not, but I'll just.
Because he's been holding on to that a long time.
We can move on. Yeah. So once we understand this, right, we can move on to the last table. And there you realize that woman touched Jesus' clothes, woman was healed, woman confessed the truth. Jesus conferred wholeness on the woman. Are we getting the point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when she said, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole, she declared that touching was sufficient for wholeness. Are you not getting the picture clear? Touching was sufficient for wholeness. And Jesus wants her to know that touching is not sufficient for wholeness. Touching may be sufficient for healing, but it is not sufficient for wholeness. So you touch, when you are healed, you confess. So touching, healing, confession will give you the wholeness, and the wholeness doesn't come automatically. It is conferred. Are we getting the picture clear now?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting how Mark has structured that argument? Right? So next week, we'll
Okay. I noticed you were trying to put in the faith part, or you want us to do it next week. Where does the faith part come in?
all this together, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is action, there is knowledge, there is planning, and then there is execution. All are part of faith.
Oh, okay.
Are you not getting the picture clear? Yeah. So Mark was saying, faith is not about, you make the declaration and then you sit on your behind and do nothing. There must be an action. There must be a plan, and there must be execution. When you do your part, God will do his part, even if you don't get everything right. That is where the grace of God steps in for you. So for this woman, looking at the effort she put in, the risk she took, are you getting the picture clear? The risk she took, the planning that went into that risk taking, the execution that took place, right? Jesus reaches down. Although what she thought was knowledge was just a belief, Jesus reached down so that she could get what she set out to get, because it wasn't her fault. She didn't know. So Jesus now provides that additional knowledge so that people like us now will know how to assess wholeness from God using this woman's experience as an example.
So should the journey, should it be in order, like knowledge?
Yeah. I mean, because you need knowledge to even plan.
Yeah, to get to the plan.
Yeah.
Yes,
And you
then,
need knowledge to execute. You understand? Mm. So it's like there's step by step, right? There must be planning, there must be knowledge, there must be execution.
There must be alignment.
Yeah. That alignment and the argument that Mark will make is, once we make the effort and we miss a part, the grace of God sets in for us. That's why Jesus will turn around and say, who touched me? To give the woman the opportunity, right, to do that part that she didn't know, so that he, Jesus, can now confer that wholeness on her. Because touching, right, does not produce wholeness. Wholeness is conferred and not end.
Wholeness is not end.
His wholeness is not end, it is conferred.
It's not end.
Yes,
No,
sir.
but didn't she earn it by faith? Didn't she put in the plan, she put
He
in
put in there,
the
so
effort, everything.
he did everything, but you know why I know? Well, University of Ghana, when we went, they told us one thing. You don't earn a degree. You are awarded a degree. So you can have all A's. If you misbehave, you will not be awarded because you don't earn a degree. I got that. Are you getting the picture clear?
Mhm.
So faith is not, wholeness is not end according to this test. It is conferred.
Mhm. Okay, I'll listen to the program again, but let me write it down. So
So
the
then what is
beginning,
wholeness?
yeah, the beginning
Wholeness
is
is
the
when
touching.
there is alignment between all parts of the being. You have a soul, you have a spirit, you have a body, right? Her body had an ailment. It was healed. She had an emotional trauma, right? That is her soul. The law was against her. That's the spiritual part. Everything had to be in alignment.
So you touch. Let me go through it. I'm writing it so that so you touch. I'll listen to the program again, but you touch. Oh no! First, you get knowledge
Yeah, you
because
get
she
knowledge,
knew.
you
She
plan.
got the knowledge about Jesus. Then she touched Jesus.
No, she planned.
She planned before she touched. Okay,
Yeah,
so she
because
got the
a
knowledge.
part of
Then
the planning was the action to take.
oh, so okay. So after planning, then you touch. That the touching is the action.
Action, yeah. And then actually carrying out the
That's the
plan.
execution.
That's the execution. That's when
Execution.
she moved from wherever she was
Mm,
to the crusade ground and
mhm.
indeed touched Jesus's cloth.
Okay. Then after she moved, then she got the wholeness, or she got
When she
she
moved, she got healing.
she
And
got
then
healing.
when she confessed, she told Jesus all the truth. Jesus
Confessed,
now conferred.
confessed. The wholeness was conferred.
On her.
Wholeness,
That's why I
wholeness
said
conferred.
she didn't end the wholeness. Maybe if she ended anything at all, it was the healing. Are you not getting the picture?
Mm.
Yeah. But when she confessed, Jesus now conferred.
So in our reality, in our situation, what do we confess? Is it our testimony or
Yeah.
what?
Why did you realize that Jesus taught us to be thankful? Give thanks.
Okay, so that will be our confession. Okay, thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. Okay. So it's a whole journey.
Yes, sir.
It's not only one part, it's not only faith.
Yeah, yes, sir. Right.
Because you got to put your faith into
This
action.
thing we did now gives us a better picture of the woman and a very interesting aspect of the text. What Mark wants us to understand. There are things about this text, right? By the end of the day, your mind, you learn certain things, right? Because this is logic, you become a sophisticated thinker. Not just somebody reading the Bible for this thing. You become a critical, sophisticated thinker in addition to being spiritually alert, spiritually informed. Because it is when your mind is sharpened this way that you can get things done on earth and God's glory will be seen. That is why some people can literally think their way into development, and some people think they can pray their way into development, and we know the result when we compare the two. That making sense?
Yeah, because I've always had problems with this thing, but it looks like I'm getting there. Because there are some people, there are some pastors or some preachers or some men of God who will be saying planning. You know, they'll be talking about planning. Some will be talking about faith.
First,
So
let me end this thing live stream, and then we can talk informally. So,
Can we pray out before you guys start talking?
yeah, wait a minute. Give me a minute.